Hello, we are going to know in this video about the sociolinguistic competence and pragmatic competence. Language allows you to say the same thing in two or more different ways. For that reason, we are going to explain two important competences in our communication and how to teach them in an EFL classroom. Sociolinguistic competence. It is the study of variation in language in the society. There are two factors that explain why these variations happen. The first is the language internal. These are the factors that have to do with the structures and meanings of language itself, like grammar structures. For example, the famous expression I ain't. Then we have the language external. That are the factors that relate to non-linguistic issues. We are going to explain these factors in a minute. These variations are called dialects. There are some myths about dialects. For example, that a dialect is what someone else speaks, or they reflect failure to speak correctly or that are spoken by socially disfavored groups. And they say that dialects always have highly noticeable features that set them apart. But the reality is that there isn't a better dialect than another, and that everyone who speaks a language speaks a dialect of the language. So, what's a dialect? Dialects are the varieties of language that are characteristic of certain groups of speakers. There are two types: the regional dialects, that it depends upon the geography. For example, we don't talk the same as the people who live in the north or the south of the country. And the social dialects. It depends about the socioeconomic class, the ethnicity, the gender, the age, and other factors of the speakers. The ways that dialects can differ are pronunciation. For example, we have the word ether. In American English, maybe they call either, but in British accent, they call eta. So this is a variant of the dialect. In vocabulary, the American says eraser, but the British say rubber. In grammar, the Americans use I ain't, like we talked before. And there are conversational practices that also differs in many dialects. Maybe at this point of this conversation you may ask, why is a dialect more famous than other? It isn't because some are better than others. The reason is because there are factors that make that one is more recognized than other. There are, for example, over prestige, that is associated with the standard socially prestigious varieties, and the symbol of status in mainstream society, and the cover prestige. This marks solidarity with a locally defined group, and the symbol of social identity.
There are many aspects of communicative competence that are important, but this one is the key to effective communication. Pragmatics studies the choices we make when we use language. The ability to make those choices is called pragmatic competence. There is a reason for every choice that we make and its own effects. Pragmatic competence answers the question why. We can use a particular way to say something or address somebody. By instance, we can say, "Hello Anne," "Hello Annie," "Hello Anna Banana," or "Hello Mrs. Anna." What we choose to say depends on the context, the meaning we had in mind, to emphasize something, or even on the vocabulary. Now, it's important to know the distinctions between these two concepts. Language transfer is the tendency to transfer the phonology, syntax, and semantic of the native language into the learning of the second language. It can be positive or negative. A positive transfer happens when similarities between the two languages facilitates learning. For example, we can use cognates like family and familia. On the other hand, negative transfer happens when the difference between the two languages' structures lead to systematic errors. In the following concept, we have two types of pragmatic transfer. The first is called pragmalinguistic transfer. It is the influence of learners' pragmatic knowledge and culture of their first language. For example, when we say I apologize or forgive me instead of I'm sorry. Often this is seen as an issue of register because English is a very informal language. Next, we have the social pragmatic transfer, which occurs from applying the social-cultural norms from the first language to the target language. For example, when referring to the teacher by using a title such as Miss or Sir. It is important to consider the benefits of developed pragmatic competence. Using English in a socio-culturally appropriate way is vital for effective communication and for immersion into an English-speaking society and culture. Moreover, this is actually the skill which native speakers use to define a non-native speaker as a successful communicator.
So, why sociolinguistic and pragmatic competence aren't taught in the classroom? There are many factors, but today we're going to mention three of them. First, because language teachers often think that they don't have time for sociocultural teaching due to time constraints in their curriculum. The second is because the teachers may not have enough confidence in believing that they can teach sociocultural aspects of foreign language learning well. And the third is because the teaching of sociocultural competence often involves dealing with the students' attitudes, which teachers usually find very challenging when trying to guide the students to understand and appreciate the logic and meaning of the target culture.
English as a foreign language teachers, we must be aware of the contrasting ways in which pragmatic manifests. In addition, we have the responsibility to prevent students from pragmatic failure, which might interrupt the second language progress. Instead of the traditional 3P approach for grammatical and communicative competence, illustration, interaction, induction has been suggested by McCarthy as an effective approach in developing pragmatic competence. Illustration consists in examining the real data in a specific context. Interaction consists in activities that are designed to focus on interpersonal use of language. And finally, induction consists in encouraging students to notice the different functions and features of language. Excuse me, I am new here and I can find my new flat.
Flat? What is that?
My new house here.
You want to say apartment, right?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot that there are different words here in the USA and I studied British dialect.
Don't worry. And what is the address?
It's close to Oregon University.
Oh yes, the Oregon College is 2 streets far away. You go straight and turn right and you will find the college. For a reference, you will find a drugstore.
A drugstore?
Where you find medicines.
Oh, a chemist.
I don't know how they taught you that.
Sorry, well, thank you very much, but I have another question. Is in this zone, is there any shop where I can buy some trainers?
Trainers?
Excuse me, how do you say that here? Sneakers? Like the chocolate in Mexico?
Oh, I see. Yes, there is one not far away from here. If you want, I can show you what kind of places are here, because I see that you are very lost.
Yes, please, I will greatly appreciate it.
Okay, let's go. But first, do you want to drink some pop?
Pop?
Soda.
Oh, yes, of course.
Like we all know, English is a global language. So, as teachers, we have a duty to our students to ensure, at the very last, that they have an awareness pragmatic competence as a complement to the foundations of communicative and grammatical competence. This leads to improved English language skills and enjoyable experience in an English-speaking environment for our students, as well as enhanced intellectual communication overall. And remember, everything you say and how you pronounce says something about who you are as a person. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope that this video will be useful for you. Bye!